Hi, everybody. I am very excited to be here. It's an honor to be part of this conference. So let me go for here. Yeah. So nice to meet you. I am Yury Niño. I am cloud infrastructure engineer at Google. Also, I am chaos engineer advocate in my country, in Colombia. I am from Colombia and Latin America. You can find me in Twitter, Medium, and LinkedIn as Yury Niño, and that is my personal webpage. So you can find more resources about chaos, reliability, and security here. Sorry. I have problems. The title of my talk is Understanding Adversaries for Building Reliability in Security. In the next minutes, I am going to deep dive on security adversaries. I would like to this talk was an opportunity to create a mindset-related adversaries. So for that, I am going to review some profiles, some stereotypes available in the industry, in the literature. For example, I am going to describe the attackers in dark basements with clever nicknames, and researchers who build more secure and reliable systems. So this is the agenda for today. I think we have a problem here because, yeah, that is okay. Great, thank you. Sorry, yeah. Great, thank you. Thank you so much. That is the agenda for today. I am going to start with mentioning or describing what are some reasons that motivate a hacker for damaging or improving our systems. As I just mentioned, in these categories, we can find researchers, for example. After that, I am going to outline in the attacker profiles, particularly OEVs, activists, criminal actors, and researchers. And having described each profile, I am going to share some methods to mitigate these attacks. And in the last part, I would like to share some tools and do an introduction about security and reliability. Specifically, I would like to talk about security chaos engineering. That is a field inside chaos engineering, a field that I study in this case. So let me go here. Here, yeah. Before starting, I would like to share these stories. Some are fiction and another are very real. I think I could start with Elliot. Probably you know him because he is the main actor of the protagonist or Mr. Robot, the series. So he's a cybersecurity engineer with an interesting profile since he's smart, he's a talent security engineer, but he has some problems like social anxiety disorder, clinical depression, and drug addiction. And you can see that is an stereotype created by film industry related to hackers, for example. So let me talk now about this awesome book. The title is The Cuckoo's Books. Probably you know it. It was written by Clifford Stoll in 1989. In the book, it is like a diary. The author tells us how a famous hacker is caught in the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. I really recommend this book because it has an interesting details about how called a hacker. So he in the book, the author analyzed every movement of the hacker. So that is really interesting and that is a good book. So finally, this is a great and funny story related to Google. So here we have a particular attacker, a cat that generated the chaos in Google Belgium. I remember reading about the chaos generated by this cat when the cat damaged the external power supply, generating the chaos in this data center. So that is the main reason for understanding our systems. Adversaries is critical for building resilience and survivability for a wide variety of catastrophes. Adversaries in the security context are human, so their actions are calculated to affect the target system in an adversarial way. So that is a quote related to that. So some motivations here. Security adversaries are first and foremost human, as I just mentioned. Therefore, the proper way to start is analyzing their motivations. If we consider the motivations in the first part, we could respond both proactively during design the systems, for example, and reactively after an incident generated by a security attack. One of the most common motivation is fun or undermining the security with a joy of knowledge. Fame to gain notoriety about technical skills, for example, and activism for broadcasting a message, typically from a political point of view. A financial gain, it is related to money, or it is about money. Coercion, that is very important here, because that is a motivation for forcing victims to do something that they don't want. A manipulation to create an intent outcome or change behavior. Espionage to gain information that might be valuable for the government or the industry. To understand better the attacker motivations, it is very important to consider who the attackers are and what are the motivations, as I just mentioned. So let me move now to the attacker profiles. So in the next slides, I am going to describe these profiles, this classification for attackers profiles. Specifically, I am going to talk about hobbies, vulnerability researchers, governments, activists, criminal actors, and artificial intelligence. With this information in our context, I am going to explore some methods to mitigate the actions of these attackers. The first computer attackers are hobbies. They are curious technologies who want to understand how our systems work. In the process of debugging their programs, these hackers discover flaws that the original system designers hadn't noticed. They used hack for fun, basically. Related to researchers, vulnerability researchers enjoy finding security flaws as full-time employees. That is their employ. Many researchers participate, for example, in vulnerability reward programs, also known bug bounties. Researchers are typically motivated to make a system better. Their intentions are good intentions that is related to improving the security, improving the reliability in the systems. That is really important that researchers operate under norms to avoid inappropriately accessing, for example, or inappropriate access to the systems. In the most cases, they are the red teams or the red teams or the penetration tester in the companies. Let me go here. I'm talking about governments. Governments, organizations, or government organizations, for example, law agencies or intelligence agencies, may hire security experts to secure their systems. I would like to have more time to talk about this category because we have we have a lot of information related to that. But I would like in this space talk about their activities, specifically intelligence gathering, military purpose, policy domestic, and here that is an example of these attacks generated by them. Activism or hacktivism is the act of using technology to call for social change. This activity has been known to deface websites, that is, replace normal content in our websites with a political message, for example. As an example of this type of attacks, we have an incident in November 2012 where anonymous group took several Israeli websites offline to denial service attacks. That is all about this category. So with criminal actors used to carry out crimes for committing identity fraud, stealing money, or blackmail. So some of them may be sophisticated and write their own tools, and others can buy or borrow tools that other people build. Finally, I am including in this profile the artificial intelligence. That is a new topic in our market that we have a lot of information about about artificial intelligence for those days. So let me here talk about a Cyber Grant Challenge that is announced by U.S. Defense Advanced Research Programs Agency, DARPA, in 2015. It is a contest to design a cyber intelligence system that could operate without human intervention. The idea is here, or the idea here is this category includes some agents that are not human. So let me move now how mitigate these attacks with some frameworks available in the literature. So I would like to have more time, as I just mentioned, to talk about this because that is an extensive framework for mitigating the attacks available in the ecosystems. So probably you know them. That is ATT and CK. That is the acronym for adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. It is a guideline for classifying and describing cyber attacks and intrusions. It was created by Meter Corporation and released in 2013. The framework includes 14 tactics categories and consisting technical objectives on adversaries. Some examples include privilege escalation and command and control. And this is the framework. That is a sketch. In my free time, I like to draw with some information here. So that is a sketch from the last framework published by Google. It was published 2 weeks ago, and that is a guide to protecting our systems, our AI systems specifically. That is inspired by security best practices. And it was written for mitigating, or is designed for to mitigate stealing AI models, data poisoning of training, injecting malicious inputs through prompt injection, and extracting confidential information. So the framework is composed by 6 core elements. The first one is span strong security foundations to AI. The second one is an extension, detection, and response to bring AI into the organization. The third one, automate defense to keep peace with new threats. And the fourth, harmonize platform-level controls to ensure consistently. 5, adapt controls to adjust mitigation. So 6, contextualize AI system risks in business process. That is a first intent to design frameworks for AI, since that is a new topic in our ecosystem. So at this moment, we are creating the first frameworks for mitigating attacks to protect our AI systems. So it is the moment for some considerations related to adversaries and attackers. So I would like to close this first part. This part is related to profiles, to methods to mitigate attacks. So I would like to close this part with these considerations. The first one, you might not realize you are a target. That is very important because when you are prepared for preventing an attack, you probably have have tools to mitigate them. Sophistication is not a true predictor of success. Attackers are not always afraid of being caught. That is really, really important here because we don't have a confidence about their behavior if you don't consider that. Don't underestimate your adversary, and attribution is hard. So I would like to talk now about security, chaos engineering, but I would like to introduce chaos engineering. As I have mentioned, that is a field that I study considering that I work with SRE, Site Reliability Engineering topics in Google. SRE has a practice related to testing, related to prevent attacks, injecting failures in a planned way. So that is the definition for chaos engineering. Chaos engineering is the discipline of experimenting failures in production in order to reveal their weakness and to build confidence in their resilience capability. So this definition was taken from Principle of Chaos. That is the main website with a manifesto about chaos engineering. So if you notice in the definition, we have important words related to definition: experimenting, production, reveal, and to build confidence. They are key in the definition. So that is related to that experiments, and some persons talk that is important and that is mandatory to run the experiments in production, but you can practice with chaos engineering in your development or local environments. So let me move now to the definition for security chaos engineering. Security chaos engineering is an extension of chaos engineering that is related to practice with planned failures on production. But in this case, we are injecting failures for our security components. So that is a definition provided by Aaron Hinner, but that is he's part of the creators of the discipline in Netflix in 2018. 28. What is security chaos engineering? That is the definition. It is the identification of security control failures through proactive experimentation to build confidence in the system's ability to defend against malicious conditions in production. If you notice, the definition is similar to chaos engineering, but in this case, we are putting our focus in security components. So the idea is to inject failures in the security components. They are the principles for chaos engineering that apply also to security chaos engineering. That is they are the steps for practicing with this discipline. So in the first step is hypothesize about the steady state. That is really, really challenging, since probably you need to be sure that your software is free bugs on production. So that is impossible, but the idea is for practicing with chaos engineering, your system is in a steady state. A steady state is a state in which our software runs with stability. So the second step for practicing with chaos engineering is by real-world events. For example, change the configuration file or change a rule in a firewall in cloud, or I don't know how modify configuration files here. So this is the idea here. So in that third step, the idea is to run the experiment. The idea is to write a hypothesis and try to approve or disapprove the hypothesis running an experiment. As you remember, in the definition, it was a key word in the definition, experimentation, because through experiments and through scientific method, you inject failures in your systems. So finally, the last step is related to automation. The idea here is integrating the experiments in your pipelines, for example, in the CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment pipelines, for example. The idea is to have the possibility to replicate the experiments each you deliver software on production, for example. So here we have an example of security chaos engineering. That is a mental exercise because the idea is you practice with that, you inject the failure. But if you practice with a mental or a chaos mindset, you probably can get information like this. In this example, that is the hypothesis. The hypothesis is after the owner of root account in Google Cloud left the company, we could use our cloud in a normal way. That is the hypothesis. In this case, we are thinking that if we remove the root account of a user, we have the normal behavior in Spider. So the result of this experiment in a fictional company is the hypothesis is disapproved. In this experiment, the access to Google Cloud is connected to Active Directory. So when we think about the components are part of the architecture, we remember that we have an Active Directory. So when an employee left the company, his account is dropped and we lose the access to the cloud. So the side effect of these experiments thinking in this scenario allows to consider another applications connected to the Active Directory. But the idea is to practice with real examples here. So more examples you can use for practicing with chaos engineering and specifically with security chaos engineering are included here. For example, introduce latency on security controls in a firewall of your AWS or Google Cloud or Azure architecture. You can introduce latency and see what happened with that. In order to know your systems, in order to know the results of this experiment, and approve or disapprove a hypothesis. The second experiment, or the second example included here, that is drop a folder like a script would do something in production. Expose secret text in a log file, for example, or in the monitoring solution. Permission collisions, generate permission collisions in a shared AM role policy in the cloud. Disable service 7 login, for example, that is another here. For example, if you consider compliance laws, for example, IPA, that is an example what happened if you disable here. So in encrypted Google Cloud Bucket and disable multi-factor authentication. So with this context, with the definition of chaos engineering, the definition of security chaos engineering, and some examples for that, I would like to introduce another concept in this ecosystem that is related to chaos game days. That is an interactive learning exercise designed to give players a chance to put their skills related to that. The idea is to run these experiments in a fun space in which the engineers practice with failures, practice with injections, and try to learn about chaos engineering, and the most important, about the systems, about the behavior of the system when we are in the middle of a security attack. So the Chaos Game Days was created by AWS as a practice for learning about chaos engineering and specifically about the systems. That is the framework published by practicing with this format. This framework was published by Russ Miles. Russ Miles is an influencer about chaos engineering here in Europe. So he put some activities in 3 categories for practicing with chaos engineering. The idea is to have the activities separated in before, during, and after. In the first steps, before, The idea is pick a hypothesis or write the hypothesis, pick an style for the chaos game day, decide who, where, when, and document about that, and get approval. That is very important because that is really challenging. We are practicing with our systems to convince our boss to allow to practice with the systems on production. So during the exercise, the idea is to detect the situation, the run experiment, and communicate, visit dashboards, analyze data, propose solutions, and apply and solve. And finally, after the chaos experiment, the idea is to write a postmortem and with this information, what happened, what was the impact, what was the duration, what time take the engineers in order to solve the incident, and document the action items. That is very, very important, and that is the difference between chaos engineering and a normal testing. Because in this case, we need to build resilience, we need to build reliability, proposing action items for mitigate the future incidents in the same way. And I decided to propose, that is an evolution that I proposed in an article I published some months ago. And I think that is very, very important evolve this framework. So in this case, I am using the same classification proposed by Rules Miles, but I think that is very important evolve that, because we cannot repeat the exercise, so the idea is to learn about the experiments. So in this case, I propose these activities for evolution. Improve vulnerability databases, refine the process, adjust the metrics that we are using in our dashboards, validate the position of the chaos maturity model, because that is another topic related to the same thing, but at this moment I have mentioned that we have maturity models in order to determine what is the level of the companies practicing with chaos engineering. So the idea is to validate which our position considering the last exercise. So adapt the next game, so modify some things, but because in these cases the experiments or the attacks are hidden for the engineers. So finally, continuous verification. That is important here. So this is our security chaos journey, practicing with security chaos engineering in a company that I worked in the past. Before Google. So we were practicing with that, and that is our learnings about the journey. The adoption of security chaos engineering face challenge. Human factors to security issues. As I just mentioned, in the most cases, the attackers are humans. So we have to face things that we don't know about their behavior. So reducing potential damage and blast radius is critical for security. That is really important to determine what is the impact or what is the impact of the attacks. Communication and observability are key when we are designing chaos security game days. Requirements make collision with experimentation in security. So we need to consider that, because that is a challenge for that. And you don't need to be a security expert to start with security chaos engineering. For example, in my case, I'm cloud infrastructure engineer. I work with network and database and other topics. But I think the security is a transversal topic for us. So we need to consider that. So we have an opportunity to practice with these concepts through chaos engineering. So finally, I would like to share these books that is related with site reliability engineering and how integrate reliability with security. That is the first one, the first book published by Google. The title is Building Secure and Reliable Systems, because we need reliability in order to have security, and we need security in order to have reliability in our systems. That is a complementary topics for that. So the second book is Chaos Engineering. That is the last version of the book, because we had a previous book published by the creators in Netflix, as I just mentioned, led by Nora Jones and another influencers and Cassie Rosenthal. He is the lead of the team that created the practice in Netflix. So that is a short paper, or a short book, better, about security chaos engineering, published by Aaron Reinerhat. That's, I just mentioned, he was part of the creators of chaos engineering in Netflix. And finally, that is the last book published, that is a complete book published with these topics, security chaos engineering. So the idea is to have a tool to integrate this discipline with the adversaries profiles. So the idea is, with the context of the profiles of adversaries, we have this tool available in the literature for mitigating. So I would like to close my talk with this quote: one single vulnerability is all an attacker needs for attack your system. So more resources about chaos engineering, the website for Gremlin, chaos engineering Slack, and GitHub, and InfoQ channel. So thank you very much for being here. It was an honor to be part of this. No, thank you very much.
So, thank you, Yury. We do have time for a couple of questions or statements. So if there anything you want to know from Yury?
All is clear, or all is confused?
Everything is clear. So, question from me. Do you have established some sort of chaos engineering in your or at your company already? Or some gaming, security gaming?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, so I hope that is an inspiration for practicing with this topic, because, for example, in Google we have teams dedicated to practice with the security controls in the cloud, for example, or related to that. So in some months in the year, we practice with that in order to build resilience in our solutions, in YouTube, in Gmail, in another solutions. So that is a great opportunity for that.
Okay then. Thank you, Yury. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much for being here.